Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Coach, and this is the ENLS series.
All right, hey, and if you're still following me on this series, the ENLS series, appreciate it. So this is week 8. Something a little bit, confusing about this week is this is not 1 week of habits you're going to build. This is really more of a guideline into shaping habits over a long period of time. And by that, I would say 3 to 6 months. A lot of these concepts are, just to help you along the way, and you're going to have to figure them out. So there is no, if you get them in the first try, that's going to be very rare, but really you're going to have to experiment with different, calories, macros, especially as you're getting progress over time. You're going to come across what I call a plateau, and you may have heard it. It's where you just don't lose any more weight, or you're at a maintenance. Some point you're going to hit a plateau, you're going to hit that limitation, and our goal is really to pass that. So you may have heard that saying where habits, they happen in about a month, and that may be true and maybe not. It doesn't really matter. What is most important is the things you're picking are going to stick. And so sometimes it takes longer than 30 days for that to happen, especially when it comes to things like cooking and meal prep and finding out your preferences of foods in order to stay in a deficit. Now, for me personally, I know that I already have kind of a magic formula, we can call it, or something that I know that works. And it's something I'm going to be using in the X-Form series. And I'm going to be talking about that, of how I designed it, how I created it. Really, it came out of the things that I needed for my, preferences, what makes me unique, and some of the things that held me back for the longest time. And they're not secrets, they're just things you don't often hear about. Not many people are going to tell you have more calories in, a deficit. They're going to have you having 1,800, 2,000, and that's really not that many calories if you go look at some of the studies. So one of the things I've been working on and will be working on the next few weeks is changing my current habits. And this entire year has been, an experiment. I've tried a lot of things with food challenges. I took a different approach just to see if it was helpful. And I actually did find some things that are very beneficial for my long-term success, and things I can do when I want, performance, or to change my dietary need or macros or whatever. So I found a lot this year by trying things, and that's really my overall point, is it's a trial and error process. So when it comes to your habits, what you're going to want to do and start with, and we'll talk about in the X-Form series, is one thing per week. And we'll talk about this in the last 4 episodes, is what habits am I changing right now? Before I even start weight loss, I'm already focusing on the habits that I'm gonna need to change before the weight loss starts. And what a lot of time, in most programs, you're changing so many things in the first week, it's really difficult to focus on, so many changes. That's why we like to do one thing per week. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And we'll talk about that in next week's episode. So one of the things we're also going to cover in X-Form is going to be the plateau. What happens when you get to a certain weight and you're not at your goal? Well, maybe your goal is too aggressive, or maybe you just need more time to get there. So you can't lose, so much weight in a specific, a short amount of time, and expect for those results to stay without the body rebounding. So that's why we do this slower. Now, for me, there's a couple different approaches. Number one, you can go attack the calories out first. And that's what I like to do, because I like to eat. So therefore, I don't like to mess a whole lot with my overall daily calories. And those actually come out to weekly calories is the way I do it. And you'll see that as we talk about X-Form. So, and I've talked about this in the past as well. So there's a number of things I can do. Number one is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's just moving more throughout the day. It's being mindful of, how I'm just sitting right now. I'd be maybe tapping my hands, doing something, just staying active, moving. It's that awareness that you're gonna want to burn calories all day long. That's the easiest thing to do, in my opinion. And the next thing would be, doing low intensity, steady state movements or energy burning, like walking, or just something that's, like I said, not really putting running or high intensity. It's something that your body, or for me anyway, when I do those forms of exercise, I don't get any increased hunger from it, because I wasn't really pounding the body. And then really at the end, if I put more training in or a little more high intensity, that's another way to do it. But it also comes with the potential of having increased hunger. Therefore, then I have to go mess around with calories, which I don't generally like to do. I like to keep them sort of fixed, if I can, the best I can. So then the question is, do I lower calories in a deficit? And the answer is yes, but it comes out, to where my plateau, specifically for me and my body composition, usually when I get down to about the 170 pound mark, I have to bring the calories down. I can't be at 4,000 calories a day. Generally, I need to bump it down to about 3,500 and stay active. So now it's this thing where I have to keep both of these things on attention, and I have to focus. So if I want to get to the low 160s, which I've done, but I don't have as much muscle, but I'm a leaner build, more striations, more veins, things like that, then I really have to pay a lot of attention to this. So it comes with the trade-off of, say, my lifestyle, my flexibility, all of that goes away for this really focused in look. So it depends. If your goal is to get really lean, you're just gonna know it's gonna require some sacrifice. You can't have your cake and eat it too at times, is what I'm saying. So therefore, you need to make sure that whatever goal you set it small first, and then you can get bigger down the road, but just get those little sub goals first. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing next year, because I'm going to be trying to get very lean, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's actually going to take about 5 months. It really starts here in about a week or two. So macros, that's the one that everybody's gonna push, is you gotta have these certain macros to lose weight. Now for me, I've already said in the past, macros are performance. And I don't just mean like how you perform in sports or at the gym. Let's say life performance, because to me, when I eat nutrient dense foods, my energy is, I'd say, better. One of the things I like about protein is that it's something that keeps me full, and it's one of the macros. If I'm gonna focus on macros, let's say, and I'm gonna drop calories, then I'm gonna make sure that my protein stays high. That's what's gonna keep me full. The last thing I'm gonna do is pull from protein. Now, how much protein you need is gonna depend. For me, even at 180 pounds, I'm gonna need about 250 grams per day. And actually, the leaner I get, say dropping below 170, I'm gonna push it up to 300. So carbohydrates are gonna be the one that are gonna be arguably the one you can say take the most control of and have the most difference with, because there's a number of things you can do. You can change them between simples and complex. You can do low carbs, high carbs. It really is gonna depend on your goal. So my dog wants to do a lot of barking, so a lot of pauses in this, but either way, back to carbohydrates, remember that whenever you change them, and if you do an abrupt change, it's something that's gonna be hard to deal with, especially in a hunger standpoint. Now, something that's really tempting, and especially I learned this in the bodybuilding world, was when you're trying to save on calories, is just cutting the fats out, just because they have so many calories. Now, the one thing that you're not, say, taking into the equation is all the specific micronutrients that come from fats. There's a bunch of them. Okay, so week 8 is one that's kind of complicated because it isn't really specific, and that's kind of the goal in this overall endless concept. Is I can't tell you anything specific to do because you're trying to figure it out. You're gonna have to try different things. You're gonna have to, say, fit different things into your schedule. This is for you to figure out, not for me, because I've already figured it out for myself, but it took a long time. The whole point of all this is I'm giving you all of this stuff to, say, think about, to evaluate. How can it benefit you? How can you change your diet? How can you change exercise? How can you make this stuff work? Those are the questions you need to ask. And if you're not asking how to make it work and you're making excuses of why you can't, then that's the first problem, is to make sure that you're in a place where you're prioritizing it. Because if you're not going to get to those goals, because they're not truly goals. My theory, and I would say go look at the research, if you set a long-term goal of where you want to be and you solidify it, you make sure that it's something you actually want, guess what happens along the path that you start taking there? You'll naturally make decisions, say consciously and even subconsciously, they're going to take you towards that goal because it's important. It's in your priority matrix, and you really have to pay attention. You have to be focused and mindful on the things you're doing and the habits you're creating, because if you're not, you're just going to be blindly going and you're not going to really know what got you to a point. You know, the importance of all of these elements working together to change habits, because if you don't start changing habits and you just get hacks that you may use here and there and they're not, say, permeating into your lifestyle, then it's really not going to do you any good. We're going to hammer this a lot more next week when we talk about phase 2. So for right now, for me, this is a live view of what I'm at as of today and for this week. I've been putting on weight just to be, let's say, in a position to lose body fat, because if I'm too lean, number one, my body's going to resist it, and I'm not going to be able to take the journey with you. If I'm going to go, say, 12 weeks on weight loss and losing about 1 pound of fat a week, I had to put fat on, and that's really the point of this, is in order to do it with you. All right, so here today for our little coach talk, I'm here with Gabe. What or who got you into the world of, say, health and fitness?
I've always been active. You know, I played soccer pretty much all my life. I got to a point where I had way too many injuries, and I said, you know what, I got to pick a different sport. And then due to my jobs, I ended up switching from soccer to start running. I wanted to coach my daughters, and I didn't have that knowledge as a runner, so I had to start running myself and then finding running clubs in town. So then they will go run and I would try to shadow them. and I got all my 3 daughters into running. You know, like my family's always kept me motivated. My daughters, my wife, and helping them, but also leading by example, got me into where I'm at now. I work out about 4 times a week. And I try to switch it off, running, rowing machine, and then lifting weights. And then whatever muscle group that I don't hit that week, I keep track, and then I'll do that next week. But in that, I always try to incorporate cardio. I'm not trying to get big. That's not what I'm looking for. It's more a healthy life.
So you're looking to lean down?
Yeah. My goal is to lose the fat around my midsection, which is the hardest of any parts of your body. So you can't do it just by exercising. So you have to incorporate your eating habits. You have to count all these calories. So I'm using these applications and your ideas to prep meals ahead of time, and it's not easy to start, but it's definitely the way to be successful. Today, I always want to munch something before I go to bed, and with that, I've been able to minimize that a little bit. Yeah, I have sweet tooth, so I'm always craving at the end of the day. Okay, how do I? Because that's my challenge every day.
So finding substitutions, and we're going to be talking a lot about that in this next series I'm doing. So Gabe's pointing that out, finding the things you like and finding them less in calories.
Wish to know when I started all this is the nutrition part, because the physical fitness and all that stuff was already there. I learned it from the coaches for my kids, and I just pay attention to what they were telling my kids, and then I applied to myself, and then I saw their success in the running. But I didn't know the part of that, which is the nutrition. I know that I wasn't hitting my goals because of that. So now I know, and finding those your weaknesses and working on those to get around it, that's how you're gonna achieve your goal. And then for the long term, not just for, like you said, a lot of people just, during the beginning of 2023, the gym is full of people, and then give it a month or two, and then it's empty again, and it repeats itself.
I love that, and that's actually something we're also going to be talking about. So everything pointed out. Thank you, Gabe. Appreciate your time. We're going to actually go shopping, and we got some meal prep to do just to stay on track with that nutrition, because yes, that's the #1 priority. So till next episode, we'll take care. Peace out.